Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching Updates at Noon with me, Nur Zamri. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim today aligned the country's economic direction as he unveiled the Madani economy, empowering the people. The Madani economy sets 7 benchmarks as medium targets to be achieved within 10 years.
Pertama, Malaysia berada di kedudukan antara 30 ekonomi terbesar dunia. Kedua, indeks daya saing global di tangga ke-12 teratas dunia. Ketiga, peratusan pendapatan buruh mencapai 45% daripada keseluruhan pendapatan. Keempat, kadar penyertaan wanita dalam tenaga buruh mencapai 60%. Kelima, indeks pembangunan manusia di tangga 25 teratas dunia. Keenam, indeks persepsi rasuah di tangga 25 teratas dunia. Ketujuh, kemampanan fiskal dengan defisit fiskal mencapai 3% atau lebih rendah.
The Premier said the Madani economy, empowering the people, will be the master plan for several other policies that will be announced later, including the National Energy Transition Roadmap and the midterm review of the 12th Malaysia Plan. Admitting the set benchmarks is very ambitious, the Premier said it will need a political will, cooperations from civil servants, readiness of traders and investors to take necessary actions, as well as comprehensive understanding. At the event, the Prime Minister also announced several incentives for the people. Among others is a 100 ringgit Ewallet Incentive to all Malaysians aged 21 and above, earning 100,000 ringgit and below in annual wages. The Premier said the incentive was spurred by the success and significant impact of the Ewallet credit rollout program implemented in the past. As for civil servants, the government will provide 300 ringgit in appreciation special aid to civil servants grade 56 and below.
Terima yang layak dianggarkan melebihi 10 juta rakyat, iaitu merangkumi golongan yang masih dikategorikan B40 dan M40, walaupun kita sekarang merangka supaya meminda pendekatan B40 dan 40 ini. Tapi kalau kita golongkan kepada kumpulan ini, dana dalam kemudahan ini akan mencecah sekitar 1 bilion ringgit.
As for civil servants, the government will provide 300 ringgit in appreciation special aid to civil servants grade 56 and below.
RM100 kepada pesara berpencen, penerima pencen terbitan, pesara KWSP, pesara bersara pilihan dan belum menerima pencen, veteran berpencen serta veteran yang tidak berpencen. Saya telah mengarahkan supaya Kementerian Kewangan dapat meluluskan dan menyalurkan bantuan ini dalam tempoh 2 minggu dari sekarang.
The orang asli community have been reminded not to be swayed by the establishment of a new political party for the community. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi claimed there was a hidden agenda behind its establishment, describing it as an attempt to divide the community.
Parti orang asli telah didaftarkan. Kami tahu siapa di belakangnya. Tapi kita tahu orang asli pada keseluruhannya mendukung government of the day. Siapa juga yang menjadi kerajaan, itulah yang akan didukung. Jadi kini kerajaannya adalah parti-parti di dalam kerajaan perpaduan. Dan kita harap tidak ada mana-mana pihak yang cuba memecahkan dokongan orang-orang asli ini melalui parti berkenaan, dan saya yakin orang-orang asli tetap bersama-sama dengan kerajaan yang ada kerana segala program dan juga rancangan yang telah dibuat oleh Jakwa.
The Deputy Premier was speaking at the 2023 gathering of the Orang Asli Tok Batin and Penghulu in Subang Jaya. At the event, Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid, who is also the Rural and Regional Development Minister, handed over a one-off payment of 1,000 ringgit to each 624 Tok Batin and Penghulu, as well as 500 ringgit for the Chairman and Secretary of the Orang Asli Village Development and Safety Committee. The one-off payment involving allocation of more than 900,000 ringgit was a sign of appreciation for the contribution and continuous commitment. On another matter, the Deputy Premier dismissed claims by certain quarters that the government plans to abolish the Aboriginal Peoples Act 1954, subsection Act 134.
Kita akan memperkasakan Akta Orang Asli 1954 yang dikenali sebagai Akta 134 untuk diperkasakan, dan sesi libat urus perbincangan dengan masyarakat orang asli sedang dijalankan. Ianya dipandu arah oleh Jakwa sendiri dan Infra, dan kita harap ianya akan dapat dimuktamadkan dengan segera, dan insya-Allah saya akan bawa ke Jemaah Menteri untuk kelulusan dan bagi pembentangan pindaan bagi memperkasakan akta ini demi kepentingan orang asli dengan kadar segera yang boleh.
The Agriculture and Food Security Ministry (KPKM) is optimistic that its 5-season in 2 years paddy cultivation plan can be realised and in turn increase the country's rice production. Its Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Sabu said it was now focusing on the plan, with the Muda Agricultural Development Board (MADA) playing the role of providing guidance to rice farmers. He expressed confidence that through the guidance, the farmers will be able to pull it off. Up to 1,200 hectares of paddy fields were identified for the implementation of the 5-season rice project. As the start, it involved 213 hectares last season. On the 15th of July, it was reported that the unity government will ensure the welfare of paddy farmers was protected by increasing their income. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said that several pilot projects for the 5-season rice cultivation in 2 years have been carried out by MADA and the Kedah Zakat Board to increase rice production. Communications and Digital Minister Fahmi Fazil has congratulated Jared Lee, the director of the short film Horologist, which won the Best Animation Award at the San Diego Comic-Con 2023 in the United States. Fahmi, in a Facebook post last night, said it is a great achievement for the country's animation, as this is the first Malaysian animation to win the award. He added the ministry is proud that Lee took advantage of a grant from the Malaysian Digital Economy Corporation (MDEC) to create the animation. Meanwhile, Lee, in a post on his Instagram account, expressed his appreciation to MDEC and Finas, who contributed to the success. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim hosted a dinner in honour of visiting Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. at the Petronas Twin Towers last night. Marcos and his wife Louise Araneta Marcos were welcomed upon arrival at about 7:50 p.m. by Datuk Seri Anwar and his wife, Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail. Both couples later went up to the 86th floor and spent about 10 minutes enjoying the panoramic view from the observation deck. They then went down to the 42nd floor to attend the dinner that was also attended by Foreign Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Zamri Abdul Kadir and National Unity Minister Datuk Aaron Agu Dagang. Datuk Seri Anwar and Marcos, together with their wives, later spent some time at the KLCC Skybridge on the 42nd floor, which connects the Twin Towers, before leaving the venue. Rescuers searching for trapped Indonesian miners. That and more coming up in the foreign segment.
Tiada jalan mudah untuk berjaya dan tiada jalan mudah untuk bahagia. Jadi buang tabiat tidak baik untuk berjaya dan bahagia. Buang perangai kita yang ingin mengambil hati orang. Buang gaya hidup buruk yang tak sihat.
Indonesian rescuers race against the clock to save 8 people trapped in an illegal gold mine in Java, the country's biggest island. Police said the miners were digging inside a 60-meter deep hole in Pancurendang village in central Java on Tuesday evening when water suddenly flooded the illegal mine. With oxygen fast running out and the potential for severe flooding of the mine shaft, the rescue effort was being aided by the military and had turned to getting the water out.
Itu pembendungan dari kebocoran itu sendiri telah memang bisa didapatkan untuk aliran air yang bocor, nanti kita akan lakukan penyedotan. Namun apabila memang upaya itu tidak berhasil, nanti kita akan upayakan lagi dengan penyelaman, menyesuaikan terkait kedalaman dan kemampuan personil.
Most of the trapped workers had moved from West Java to mine in the region. Unlicensed mines are common across the mineral-rich Southern Asian archipelago, and accidents are frequent. In 2021, 6 people were killed on Sulawesi Island in an illegal gold mine collapse. Israeli troops killed a Palestinian in the occupied West Bank yesterday as the army claimed that it had conducted a counter-terrorism operation in a Nablus refugee camp. The Palestinian Health Ministry said the man, Muhammad Abdul Al-Hakim Nada, was shot in the chest and died of his wounds. An Israeli occupation forces spokesman said its troops had conducted a counter-terrorism activity in Al Ain camp in Nablus. In a separate statement, the army said that during the raid, suspects fired and hurled rocks and paint bottles at the soldiers who responded with live fire. Eyewitnesses told AFP that Israeli forces had stormed the neighborhood of Al Muhayyim and surrounded a house before arresting one Palestinian. The Palestinian group Hamas, which controls the coastal enclave of Gaza, condemned what it said was a Zionist crime in Nablus. Wednesday's death came a day after Israeli troops killed 3 Palestinians in an exchange of fire in Nablus. Earlier this month, Israeli forces conducted a 2-day raid on Jenin refugee camp, razing large swatches of the area and killing 12 Palestinians, including children. So far this year, violence linked to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has killed at least 202 Palestinians, 27 Israelis, 1 Ukrainian and 1 Italian, according to an AFP tally compiled from official sources on both sides. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un met the Russian defense minister and a high-ranking Chinese delegation in Pyongyang ahead of a major Korean War anniversary celebrations, the leader's first known foreign guest since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. The official Korean Central News Agency KCNA reported Kim had a friendly talk with Moscow's Sergei Shoigu, who gave Kim an autograph letter from Russian President Vladimir Putin. Kim and Shoigu also visited a weaponry exhibition where the Russian ministry was shown new type weapons and equipment. KCNA said Kim also met a Chinese delegation led by Politburo member Lee Hong-sung, who courteously handed to Kim a personal letter sent by Chinese President Xi Jinping. Pyongyang is marking the 70th anniversary of the signing of the 27th of July 1953 Korean War armistice, which ended open hostilities and is celebrated in the country as Victory Day. Russia, a historic ally of North Korea, is one of a handful of nations with which Pyongyang maintains friendly relations. While Beijing is North Korea's most important ally and economic benefactor, their relationship forged in the bloodshed of the Korean War in the 1950s. As parts of Europe swelter in high temperatures and battle with fires, World Health Organization Chief Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus said extreme heat was threatening health. Referring to a report by the World Meteorological Organization, Ghebreyesus said that 61,000 people died from heat-related causes in 35 European countries last year, when the continent experienced its hottest summer on record.
Is continuing to threaten health across the Northern Hemisphere. High temperatures and other conditions have also sparked wildfires in Algeria, Greece, Italy and Tunisia, with more than 40 people dead and thousands evacuated.
The WHO chief also expressed concerns for the impact of extreme weather on people who are displaced or living in countries affected.
We're also concerned about the impact of extreme weather on the health of people who are displaced or living in conflict-affected or vulnerable settings, where there is limited or no access to safe water and sanitation, lack of cooling, and shortage of medical supplies.
Soldiers claim to have overthrown the Niger government yesterday following an apparent coup in the fragile state. Disgruntled members of the elite presidential guard sealed off access to President Mohamed Bazoum's residence, and officers in the capital Niamey, and after talks broke down, refused to release him. In a televised address late Wednesday, Colonel Major Amadou Adramain said the defense and security forces have decided to put an end to the regime of President Bazoum. He said this follows the continued deterioration of the security situation, poor economic and social governance. He added that all institutions in the country would be suspended, borders were closed, and a curfew had been imposed until further notice from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Hours after his detention, Bazoum supporters had tried to approach the official complex but were dispersed by members of the Presidential Guard who fired warning shots. One person was shot, but it was not immediately clear if he was injured by a bullet or from falling as the crowd scattered. Regional and global leaders called for the release of Bazoum, who entered office 2 years ago in Niger's first peaceful transition of power since independence. The head of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, said the president of neighboring Benin, Patrice Talon, would head the Niamey for mediation efforts. About 50 Zimbabwean opposition activists clad in yellow t-shirts were knocking on doors and handing out election flyers in Harare when a dozen riot police arrived and told them to disperse. For the campaigners, intervention was one more sign of a strategy to wreck their chances of cracking the 43-year grip on power by Zimbabwe's ruling party. The landlocked Southern African country heads to the polls on the 23rd of August to elect the president, legislature and municipal councils. But in a nation dominated since independence by the late Robert Mugabe's ZANU-PF and burdened by a long history of tainted elections, new competitors expect the vote to be free and fair. 12 candidates have set their sights on the presidency, but the competition is essentially a race between two men, a generation apart, in a country beset by corruption, inflation, poverty and joblessness. Hardline President Emmerson Mnangagwa, 80, is squaring off against Nelson Chamisa, 45, of the Citizens Coalition for Change, CCC. In the meantime, Parliament has passed laws that critics say muffle civil society groups and curtail criticism of the government. At least 23 people died Wednesday when a bus crashed in northern Senegal. This was announced by its president Macky Sall on social media as he called for even more caution on the road. Earlier, a National Fire Brigade official and a first responder told the media that 22 people had died and 52 others were injured. The accident happened in the village of Giusari in Luga region. The official did not specify the cause or time of the accident. In January, 19 people were killed and 24 injured in a collision in the same area near Luga. The previous week, around 40 people died in a bus collision in the center of Senegal. That tragedy on the 8th of January prompted a wave of criticism against authorities over the frequency of accidents on Senegal's roads and the lack of action taken to prevent them. The government responded by announcing a long list of measures, including a ban on overnight bus journeys, but transport professionals said that many of the measures were unrealistic. Across many countries in Africa, dilapidated vehicles, reckless driving, and corrupt law enforcement officials all contribute to tragedies on the road. Next in sports, Liverpool skipper set to leave club after 12 years. Stay with us. Selangor FC's sensational player Muhammad Faisal Halim has been suspended for 4 months by the Football Association of Malaysia, FAM. Selangor FC, who confirmed the matter in a statement last night, said it was due to the media comment made by the footballer after the Super League match against Sabah FC on the 27th of April. However, in mitigation, Muhammad Faisal, 25, is to be suspended for only 1 month, effective 25th of July until the 23rd of August, while the rest of the 3-month suspension will be put on hold, subject to good behaviour for 12 months from 24th of August this year to 24th of August next year. On Tuesday, club representatives and the player appeared before the FAM disciplinary committee for a disciplinary hearing. With that, Faisal cannot be listed for Selangor FC's next matches against Johor Darul Takzim JDT, Kuala Lumpur City, Negeri Sembilan and both Malaysia Cup matches against PDRM FC. Last April, Faisal, who is nicknamed Mickey, expressed his disappointment over the course of the match against Sabah, stating it could have been fairer. In the action at Lika Stadium in Kota Kinabalu, although Muhammad Faisal managed to score 1 goal, it was not enough when Selangor lost 1-2 to the home team. Liverpool midfielder Jordan Henderson said farewell to the club's fans on social media, confirming his departure from the club after 12 years ahead of a reported move to Saudi Arabia's Al Ettifaq. The former Liverpool captain will join the Saudi Pro League after Al Ettifaq paid a fee estimated at £13 million. Henderson arrived at Anfield from Sunderland in 2011 and since then made 492 appearances with 33 goals and 61 assists in all competitions for the team. The England international helped Jurgen Klopp's side win their first Premier League title in 30 years in 2020. He also captained Liverpool to the FA Cup, League Cup, UEFA Super Cup and Club World Cup titles. Henderson will reunite at Al Ettifaq with former Liverpool teammates Steven Gerrard, who was appointed as a coach on a 3-year contract earlier this month. Paris Saint-Germain striker Kylian Mbappe has refused to meet officials from Al Hilal, dealing potentially a fatal blow to the Saudis' ambitious hopes of completing a world record €300 million swap. The French star has refused any discussion with the representatives of the Al Hilal club present in Paris yesterday. According to the report by L'Equipe, a delegation from the Saudi club came to Paris to finalize the transfer of Brazilian Malcolm from Zenit St. Petersburg. They also wanted to present the project to Mbappe while in the French capital. According to L'Equipe, in charge of the 24-year-old player refused any discussions with the representatives of the Saudi club. Riyadh-based Al Hilal had been given permission by PSG to open talks with Mbappe, despite him never having expressed an interest in moving to the fast-growing Saudi league. Mbappe has 1 year left on his contract with PSG, who want him to leave now rather than for nothing next summer. But he is refusing to sign a new contract, and the French champions believe he has already struck a deal to move to Real Madrid next year. It is widely thought that Real hope to pick up Mbappe for free next year, attracting him with a colossal signing fee because they would not have to pay PSG anything for his services. Lionel Messi's impactful Inter Miami has been clear to see with 3 goals and an assist in 120 minutes on the field, but his teammates say his influence behind the scenes may be just as vital. Having spent his entire career alongside world-class players at Barcelona, Messi left behind star teammates such as Brazilian Neymar and Frenchman Kylian Mbappe at Paris Saint-Germain and walked into a locker room full of mostly unrecognizable faces. Earning millions more than his teammates, enjoying a lifestyle and football regime they could only dream of, it was by no means sure that he would bond with the rest of the squad. Adding to the sudden change inside the team, Messi joined the club this month, along with another former Barcelona star and World Cup winner, Spanish midfielder Sergio Busquets. But speak to anyone connected with Inter Miami and they quickly tell you how the pair have sparked their egos and gone out of their way to fit in with their new teammates. Jonas Vingegaard made a triumphant return to Denmark following his second successive Tour de France victory as thousands lined the streets to welcome him home. His name echoed from the crowd of tens of thousands gathered in the square outside Copenhagen City Hall, just as they had a year earlier when Vingegaard won his first Tour de France title. Many wore the Danish red and white, while others donned yellow shirts mirroring the jersey worn by the leader of the Tour de France. Crowds also lined the streets to wave at Vingegaard as he enjoyed his second open top parade wearing the famous jersey into Copenhagen after landing in a private jet. The 26-year-old was the first Dane to win the iconic race since Bjørn Ries, who later admitted to doping in 1996. During his speech at Copenhagen City Hall, Vingegaard conceded that he at times had doubted himself during the race this year, and his humble persona strikes a chord with many Danes. On Sunday, Vingegaard crossed the finish line after the 21-day race 7 minutes 29 seconds ahead of Slovenia's Tadej Pogačar, the champion in 2020 and 2021. His winning margin was the largest since 2014, when Italian Vincenzo Nibali won by 7 minutes 39 seconds. All right, that ends updates at noon. Wrapping up with a recap of our top story. Prime Minister unveils economic direction to empower the people. Tune in to Malaysia Tonight coming up at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM. I'm Nur Zamri. Malaysia Madani, Tekad Perpaduan, Penuhi Harapan. Have a wonderful day.